So if you're watching this video, I don't even know how to express where to start. There's an infinite sea of peace and contentment that can only be described as it's perfect contentment. Perfect contentment. One might call it nirvana, one might call it heaven, moksha. It's real. It's real. It exists. So if you're watching this video, it'll be on YouTube or on the internet, and there's so much information on the internet and in our lives today that it's easy to just slough off what's being said here now with all the other stuff that means nothing, that leads to just more of the same shit. Absolute fucking shit that is completely empty. It's crack for the mind. And this is not crack for the mind. This is intended to get you off of your addiction. Because the addiction leads eventually, when the high wears down, what happens? Oh, let's go cruise the internet. Let's watch a movie. Let's listen to the news. Let's go back to focusing on what mind has created. And it's all empty. And I really want to stress in this video that you have to get off of the crack. Or go along for the ride. And it's obvious that the ride that human consciousness is on is going to be very soon filled with suffering on an unprecedented scale. And the more that your mind is engaged, focused on that, the more suffering and the more you'll be along for the ride. So I don't think it's a selfish thing to say is that I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be on that ride. I think it's kind of a natural thing to not want to suffer. And this is not something to trivialize and mess around with. It's real. It's going to happen. And this video should be taken seriously. So what do? As I've said before, a really important step is to, whenever you notice the mind searching for the crack pipe, you don't give it the crack pipe. don't go on the internet, you don't go on Facebook, you don't go on YouTube, you don't text with some meaningless blah blah blah. You focus your awareness back in on your own existence. That's it. That is the entirety of all spiritual practice. Spiritual practice is about getting to what's real, and what's real is you. You are the reality. Your own existence, your very being, whatever you want to call it, your awareness, your consciousness. That is what is real, and that is what is always there. This is why it's the only thing that lasts, and it's the only thing that is complete and substantial. And that's why when you're in it or as it, it's complete contentment, because it's the reality from which everything arises. It's always there. You can't be addicted to something that's always there. Here, I should say. Always here. Right? If you're addicted to something that's always here, you've got no worries because it never goes away. If you're addicted to something that goes away, then that's a problem. Right? And every single experience that you have goes away. And thoughts are the things that go away the quickest, aren't they? And this is why the thought process is speeding up within human consciousness, is because thoughts, if I know I'm existing, if I know I exist while I'm thinking, and thoughts dissipate very quickly, then I have to keep thinking all the time in order to reaffirm my existence. But you exist in and of yourself. So human consciousness, and I've said this in another video, but it's the reality of it is what I want to get through to you, is that this affects your experience at the most fundamental level. So what I'm talking about again is to be free from suffering. No suffering, no stress, nirvana, heaven. So I'm telling you, and you know, probably some other people, not very many, but a few other people have told you, because you're here watching this video, and I'm sure that the path that led you to this video has led you through some of this stuff before, is that heaven and nirvana and perfect peace and contentment and absolute happiness, absolute in that the happiness isn't relative to anything else, is here now, always here now, within you, underneath all thoughts and sensations. And the catch-22 is, if you haven't experienced it, then it will be easy to slough it off and just not accept that it's real, that it's just more noise from the internet. And that's what mind would really like you to do, because your ego, which is that which knows its existence from the relative form, from the relative realm of either thoughts or sensations, the ego doesn't want to die, so it keeps wanting to have thoughts or sensations in order to reaffirm its existence. But it's all unreal. Do you understand what I'm talking about? What I'm saying is that none of this is real. And all of it is inherently empty. And that is why there is this deep-rooted longing within humanity. What is it searching for? Why? What the hell is it doing? Why is there so much discontent? It's because, as I spoke of in the other video about the number system, is that it's on the precipice, it's on the very fine line, it has self-awareness. Human consciousness is self-aware, but it keeps reverting back to the relative realm to try to find that source of the awareness in relative realm. And this is the brink that human consciousness has come to, is that it's finally going to collapse in a big, bad, nasty way here. So what does this mean for you? It means you actually have to do it. I know, it's a not doing, but you have to do the not doing. You get it? You actually have to do away with relative form of existence. And in its most exact, without watering it down for you, because a lot of people want to water it down and make it easier to get off the crack pipe, but I'm about cold turkey. And it's hard, but it's the most effective way. And it's not really that hard, it's just discontentment, it's just unease. Just sit in a chair, or sit comfortably, or lay down. Whatever you do, just get comfortable. And don't focus on your thoughts. And don't focus on sensations. That's it. Don't do any other spiritual hokey-pokey routine. The Titanic has already hit the iceberg, okay? By that I mean the humanity is, in the physical realm, going to have a really, really hard time. The environment, all that jazz. It's wonderful. I recycle. I do what I can. I don't waste a bunch of energy, but usually I'm sitting in a chair, so that doesn't use a lot of energy. But anyway, but that's not it. That's making the dream a more pleasant dream. So the number one focus is and I'm in bliss. I'm in absolute, perfect, indescribable bliss. And that's it. So you don't need to cruise the internet looking at spiritual teachings or spiritual videos or what Rupert has to say or what Adia has to say or what I have to say or what anyone else has to say. Do this. Do this. Actually do it. And off the start, it might be really hard and you might not be able to see what I'm talking about. But eventually, when the mind stills, that you can even get it for a couple of seconds, like that peace that you get for a couple of seconds. That's it. Can you imagine that peace for a couple of hours or all the time? So, get to doing it. Do the not doing. Nothing else really matters. Nothing. If the mind comes in, what about my kids? What about my relationship? What about? It's all unreal. It's hard to accept that your kids are characters in a movie or dream characters in a dream, but they are. What is in them, with the consciousness that is coming through their eyes, is the same consciousness that's going through your eyes. But to get there and to show them that is the most important thing. The most important thing is not to get them through college or to make them happy in this life, not in the relative way of happiness, like here's a new video game or here's a new car or whatever, all that unsubstantial stuff. The most important thing for you to do for your kids is to show them the absolute bliss and contentment that is your very being. That's the most important thing to do, to show everyone this. So, in many respects, someone who adopts this and makes it their #1 priority, you might end up alone a lot of the time, because you'll realize that all the blah 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 is dream characters reinforcing the dream with other dream characters, isn't it? It's just all reinforcing the illusion, trying to keep it going, trying to make it more real by, I did that, how was your day, someone cut me off at work, oh, I did this, I did that, I want that, that person's a jerk, I like this person, this tastes good, what should we... It's all just trying to make the dream more real. And when you realize that at the most fundamental level, what's really happening is, do I exist? Yes, you exist. Do I exist? Yes, you exist. Do I exist? Yes, you exist. I exist, you exist, I exist, you exist. That's all that's going on. Every single conversation is just reaffirming your existence. And when you don't need to anything relative to yourself anymore to affirm your existence because you are existence, you will find that there's no reason to talk anymore. There's really no reason for idle conversation anymore. It's just squirrels chirping. So, you'll be going against the tide, but where's the tide going? If you could experience the perfect contentment, the peace beyond understanding of your very being, it would naturally become, it would naturally become your #1 focus, because it's nirvana. So, again, actually do the practice. Whenever the mind gets restless and goes out and wants to search for something relative, just bring it back, bring it back. And it also helps to be in the presence of someone, to receive transmission, if it were. It's just seeing how another person in that state acts and seeing, oh, okay, that's experiencing it firsthand is also good. So if you can find someone that has that presence, and to be in that presence, that's very powerful. So this might be the last video I ever make, because there's a tendency to keep going and going and going, but there's no need to. Those who find this video, here it is. It's laid out for you. Just do it.